Hello and welcome to the Basketball Addicts Podcast, the one
Yes,
podcast in
sir.
the world that answers the only question that ever truly mattered in the entire
hmm
world: is how you get from outside the finals? You can't even get in. How can you aim from outside the finals so you can't even get in? And that is where we're going to go today. As
Yes.
usual, we have so many teams, in the NBA that are about 17 to 20 games away from the playoffs. And this is
Yes.
like the perfect episode right now because it's after the All-Star break. You casuals are watching now. You guys are going to be more tuned in because it's
Yep.
real basketball being played because it's more meaningful basketball. If you're
True.
close to if you're close and you're on the cusp of the play-in, you're playing a little bit harder. We're going to see more playoff
Yes.
caliber teams play to their highest level. We saw
Yes.
the Bucks go on a 16 game win streak out of nowhere.
The Knicks go on a 7-game win streak.
Knicks on a 7 game win streak. It's
Yep.
crazy right now in the NBA. So,
Yeah.
um, that's just what we have for today. How you feeling, Jay?
I'm feeling good. This basketball time frame is a hectic one. There's so many things going on, so many new changes, so many things that we got to adapt to, and it's a fun time to be a basketball fan because there's a lot more new variables into the basketball that we thought the NBA that we thought we understood
Exactly.
3-4 weeks ago. So it's a fun time to be a basketball fan.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. It really is.
Alrighty. You
Yeah.
ready to kick this into high gear?
Let's go with it.
I feel like the main thing everybody wants to talk about is Kevin Durant, KD going to the Suns. We got to see him first play in the game against the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball. If you watch that game, you should realize how shitty the Charlotte Hornets are.
Yeah.
Dear goodness, that was just terrible. They have nothing on that team. Kelly Oubre is just literally stat chasing the whole time, trying to average his 20 points per game. Yeah, Kelly Oubre is averaging 20. Nobody's gonna give you a big contract. Nobody believes that. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody knows you're stat padding. Okay, Kelly.
Mhm.
I know you're trying to chase the bag, but you're gonna probably get $5 million still every year. But that's beside the point. Um, for me with the Suns, there are some worries and there are some really big strong points. For me personally, when I think about super teams coming together, I feel like the ones that work are the ones where the skill sets complement each other. Like KD and the Warriors. They had no mid-range ISO guy on that team. It was Steph, three-point shot creator, god, and off-ball shooting was his second best skill, and Clay was a great standstill shooter, and off-ball movement was his second best skill. That's a perfect super team fit. Okay, and the Phoenix Suns are walking into Miami Heat. Yes, Miami Heat with LeBron and D Wade territory, where they're gelling together, and their best two players have the best same two skills, just like the Miami Heat did. Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade, best skill was attacking the basket, electric. Second best skill
Mhm.
was passing. LeBron James' best skill was attacking the basket. Second best skill was passing. Okay, so they literally had the best two things together, and they never had any experience playing with a star that had the same exact skill set their entire lives. Okay, in the NBA,
Yeah.
never. Okay, they come out there. Everybody knows they went 10-8 in the first 18 games, and then went on this huge run where they won 20 straight or something like that. Look like the super team of old, right?
Mhm.
And the reason why that worries me is it took 18 games for them to figure it out, and KD is going to play around 20-ish games if he doesn't sit out any games. So he's probably going to play more 17-8, and this is going to be heading into the playoffs. And the issue is KD's best skill, mid-range ISO scoring. Devin Booker's best skill, mid-range ISO scoring. Kevin Durant's second best skill, three-point shot creation. Devin Booker's second best skill, three-point shot creation.
Mhm.
KD has never played with a mid-range shot creator in his life. Think about it, Russ. He didn't do that. He played with James Harden. That's a three-point shot creator. He played with Kyrie. He played with Steph. He played with Clay. He's never played with anybody that plays like him. And Devin Booker's never had to play with a guy like this. He's played with CP and like a bunch of bums. Okay, he's never had to play with somebody that plays like him. So these two are gonna have to figure out how to play together. It's not like, oh, he's not gonna be able to learn the system, blah blah blah. No, Kevin Durant can fucking learn the system. He's a Hall of Fame player for a reason. Okay, he can learn the system. Monty can teach them the system. I'm not worried about CP3 making it all work. I'm worried about Devin Booker and KD learning how to play with each other within 18 games. And because of this is where it really worries me, is because right now, last time I checked, if the playoffs ended, they'd be facing the Warriors, round 1. You don't want to go against the Warriors, round 1, NBA championship contender, team that's been there all the time, ton of playoff experience, round 1, not fully functioning at 100%. And that's what makes me worry about these two, is do they have the time to make this work like we all think it can work? Trust me, I see the potential. The potential is very obvious. I feel like everybody sees the potential with the Suns, right? They could be the best team in the league level team, but will they be able to hit that and get that good enough in the playoffs to really show that they can do this every night out? So that's what I'm worried about. So what do you think about that, Chris, and the Suns in general?
Suns in general, I feel like they had. Since you kind of praise the Suns a little bit, I'm gonna go on the other side of things, and I'm gonna be a little bit more critical than I think that most people would. So as I watched the game today, it was my first time getting to look at the new look Suns. Yeah, and as I'm sitting there watching, I'm thinking that, there's just one glaring weakness, right? And I'm just trying to figure it out, trying to put my hand on it, right? Now look at who's in the game at the time, right? And I'm like, there's no CP3, and they look kind of all over the place, I would say, right? One thing that the Suns have really made a strong suit for them, I believe, is that they have multiple shot creators, multiple guys who can create a shot for themselves, and then they have CP3 who, when he comes in, he can play make, and create for others who are unable to do so. You have the Devin Bookers, you have the Kevin Durant's now, you have the campaigns who can create for himself.
Yeah.
But there's the glaring weakness is that when CP3 is not in, it kind of just turns into an all-out Wild West shootout. Meaning that everybody's just like, okay, I'm putting my head down, I'm going to drive to the paint, I'm putting my head down, I'm just going to take the first shot available, I'm putting my head down, I don't see anybody else, I'm putting my head down, I'm putting my head down, I'm putting my head down. No sets were run. And this is how I know that this happened. The fourth quarter starts, right? And I'm not trying to sound as a Skip Bayless. The fourth quarter is not the only part that counts, right? But I kind of call it like the middle of the game, right? So I saw a third and the fourth quarter, right? Just to be honest. The fourth quarter starts, no CP3 in, right? It's about 12 minutes in the quarter. So we're at the 7 minute, 19 second mark. They had already had 2 back-to-back turnovers in the span of 4 minutes. And they weren't even running sets. And as soon as, and I'm not saying that there wasn't a point guard in, but I'm assuming that there might have been a respect, for that particular guy as a playmaker. They might not have respected his ability to play make at that time. CP3 comes in, immediately he gets the ball, brings the ball down the court, and they run a set. Immediately run a set, score. It's easy. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. As soon as he's in, the playmaking happens. And they look like a well-oiled machine, look like a way better team. CP3 goes out. The shots are flying again. In a very close game, it's like, that's one thing that I will say that needs to be, if it's not handled this year, at least next year, they should look into free agency and try to bring in another guy who can play make off when CP3 is not on the floor. Considering how long you may think you may have him, he is getting up in age, but he does have the type of game that ages well. Because he just has to develop. Really what he does is he makes everybody around him better through his passing ability. And knocks down a consistent mid-range shot and an occasional three-pointer. He has a really ageable game, I would say.
True. Yeah.
You just need another guy who can, like, okay, listen, I'm playing chess, right? I'm gonna make everything easier for you. I'm gonna move the pieces around. You can play checkers if you want to, but I got this. This is my chessboard, just like CP3 sees it. And I think that would be, if they can have somebody like, I'm not going to... a Rondo...
Ricky Rubio.
Ricky Rubio is great for the Cavs right now. Fantastic for the Cavs. I do not want him to go anywhere. But a Ricky Rubio to the Suns, I mean, that could work as well. Somebody who could just, I see the floor. You just go, look, I'm going to pass you the ball, then you can do what you want to do, because I'm going to set you up for the best. We're going to set you up and have you running the sets and everything like that. But when I'm not on the floor... CP3's on the floor, and we're still looking like a good team, like a well-oiled machine. In this particular instance, against the Mavs, who also don't have the greatest playmaker after Luka. Once Luka's off the floor, and then you kind of run into the same thing. So it's like this team was like playing a mirror match today. You know, they were having a mirror match. That's why it was such a high scoring game. There was less defense played than anywhere. I think it was like everybody was in the 30s, except and Tim Hardaway Jr. had like 28. Like there was no defense being played today. And it's just as I'm looking at it, I'm like, if they can figure that out, you know, while they're figuring out how to have Booker and KD coexist, I think once they figure that out, then I would be like, okay, the Suns are lethal. You know what I mean? Not just on paper, but actually on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Cameron Artis-Payne is the type of guy that's good at attacking the basket. And they needed that coming off the bench before they had Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Because they had a lack of shot creators. Yeah. So, now they really don't need his skill set as much. And that's just the natural way of basketball when you switch around rosters. I will say I really like the fact that they're playing Josh Okogie. The first person I thought of who should fill that forward spot would be him. Great defender, does a lot of little things. My secondary worry is, just like you said, their defense is going to be very average for an NBA championship level.
Definitely is a lot to be desired.
Right, but they're going to score with a lot of people, right? They play better defense than like Dallas. They're just like an average defense. You know what I mean? And a really well-oiled machine that's really a complete team, like the two top-tier teams in the East, are going to give them troubles because they're just going to defend them so well, and it's going to be easier to score on them than it is for the other way around. So, it's not like this is a lock for them to win a championship. I feel like everybody, they got traded KD. Oh, it's a ring already. Like, everybody always jumps to that. But Phoenix is going to be a good team, and it's going to be fun to watch them grow, them gel. I can guarantee you this: playoffs aren't going to be boring in the West.
No way.
Nope, not a chance. All right. Do you have anything else you want to say, or do you want to move from one playoff team to another in the West?
Well, just one more thing, and we need to be very keep our eyes on DeAndre Ayton as the road to the playoffs continues on. As they get close to the playoffs, keep your eyes on DeAndre Ayton. I don't know. We're just gonna
Does he look discontented? Discontent?
I don't know. He had like 7 today.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's he's. I don't see that big of a difference between him and Jonas Valanciunas. He's just a little bit better. Yeah. He's okay.
Nobody passes him the ball unless CP3's in and they're running pick and roll. Other than that, he's kind of just ignored.
They have a good combo, though, him and CP. Yeah. Alrighty. You ready to kick it to another good pick and roll combo? All right. The team I want to talk about and something I want to, let Chris know is I'm 100% in on Jamal Murray being like the Jamal Murray of old this postseason and right now.
Okay.
I was watching them play. I can't name who I was watching them play against. I was like, damn, he's driving to the basket like with a real spring, and like he's going under the rim and finishing with his crazy lays. And I'm like, damn, I've seen flashes of those step back threes that used to kill everybody, and the separation that he used to be so great at creating, and his athletic gifts. And I feel like he's 100% right now, which is great for the Denver Nuggets. And I feel like the Denver Nuggets are a better team than what they were at the break. Even though they traded Bones, they did sign Reggie Jackson, who fills that secondary guard shot creator role for them, which they so desperately needed. Thomas Bryant is a really solid backup center. That was a weakness for them. I still think that they probably won't make the Western Conference Finals, but they'll be a hell of a matchup for some teams. Yes. Jamal Murray, I really feel like he's going to look like Jamal Murray of old. We obviously love Nikola Jokic here. I mean, who doesn't love that fucking guy? He's ridiculous, passing, shooting, scoring. He's amazing, but I really am happy. It's going to be so much fun to watch. It's going to be reminiscent of what we used to see in 2019 and stuff like that. So you never want to see somebody get hurt like this. And Michael Porter Jr. is also playing a really well-oiled, highly efficient, shoots when he's open type of game. He's never going to be the guy we wanted as a shot creator, but right now he's playing a very efficient shot selection game where when he's open, he's shooting it. When he's not really open, he's not shooting it, and he's just very, very efficient right now, which is good for them. So yeah, the Denver Nuggets are a good team. So yeah, that's what I think about that. What do you think?
I like it. I like to hear that. I like to hear that my team is doing well. Um, I'm all for it. I like Nikola Jovic. Jokic, and Jamal Murray. I like their combo, always have. And it's good to hear that Jamal Murray is playing back to his playoff, kind of bubble. And before, I remember, not to go backwards, but I remember that was like one of our first playoff games we watched together in college.
Yep. Yeah.
we watched the Trailblazers. Yeah, we watched the Portland Trailblazers with Dame and CJ eliminate them.
Yeah. And then the series before that, when Dame sent Russell Westbrook home, that was a great series to watch. That's the best series I've ever seen in person of just like a non-Western Conference Finals. Like first round matchup where it was just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ and PG definitely were great together.
Home. Yes, they were really good together. They weren't that bad at all. They just Dame sent him home, bro. Dame was ridiculous.
It was a bad shot.
Yeah. Not for Dame. Bro, half court line isn't a bad shot for Dame. Have you seen him in the All-Star games? It's fucking ridiculous.
Lately, too.
Goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to kick it to the next topic here?
Let's roll it.
All right. Next one up is, as of the last time I checked, Milwaukee Bucks have a 16-game winning streak, overtaking the Denver Nuggets. And now 16-1. Last time I checked, they overtook the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics as the number one seed overall. Seems like they're really chasing that home court advantage all the way through the playoffs. So, when I think about that 16-game winning streak, I think about the fact that that team hasn't been very healthy all year. And I think about the fact that I think Giannis should really be – I think he has the biggest narrative for the MVP. I mean, the amount of games that Chris Middleton's missed, and for them to have the number one seed, and him to be averaging like 32, 15, and 5 or something ridiculous like that. I really feel like this is the best team in the league. Definitely very defensively gifted with Jay Crowder on the team now too. I mean, it's insane. And this team plays so well together. They have their own system. I love Giannis. Drew Holiday's good. Chris Middleton's a great support scoring role. And I really feel like they're peaking at the right time. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this continues, but peaking at the right time helps going into the playoffs. And this team is scary. So what do you think about the Bucks?
Very scary team. I wouldn't want to play them if I was any team on either side, West or East, because they're just too good. They're really what a well balanced team looks like, especially now that they have Middleton back. Drew is playing great. Giannis is playing great. Just from top to bottom, one of the better teams in the league right now. Just to go back to the 16-game win streak, they lost to the Sixers, 133 to 130. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
But other than that, I mean,
they're
still, Philly is a good team, but still, I'm still all the way in on the Bucks winning another ring this year.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. There's been a lot of talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and how good they are. I feel like both of us really agree without really having to say it, that the Philadelphia 76ers are not really in the tier that I think most media wants to put them in. So why do you think that we both feel this way? Because I feel like we agree without even saying we agree.
You said you feel like they're not in the tier that people think they are. Because I mean, like
people think they're with the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks tier. That's
no way.
Our issue. See, that's what media is pushing.
No, that's no. What?
Yeah.
No. Yes. Okay, so for me at least, right? I believe in Joel Embiid, right? I believe in, overly believe in Joel Embiid. I just feel like he's being dealt a bad set of cards because he just can't seem to build the team correctly around him, right? I think that there's James Harden was a good pickup, but it wasn't. I just feel like that's not truly the problem. I just feel like with the Sixers, I just don't really believe in them. They don't seem legit for some reason. They're missing something. They don't seem like they seem better on paper, than they do like because they sound good. Like it sounds very enticing, right? You look at the roster, you go Joel Embiid, James Harden. This should be like a championship contender every year, like because this is what you were missing, or what people thought was missing from the Sixers was that when Ben Simmons was there, you had a guard who could pass the lights out, right, and really turn the Jets on, and like what I mean, and kind of push it, push his way to the rim and stuff like that. But he was a liability because he couldn't shoot. So then you give a shooter to Joel Embiid, and then the team doesn't really seem to be turning its wheels in the way that you think it should be, especially because they just don't really seem like they're that caliber of a team, if that makes sense. The thing that I believe that is missing and that the other teams have, especially Giannis and the Bucks, Tatum and the Celtics, is not that they're just overly talented. I just feel that they just kind of just want it more in a sense. I feel that they like that's the biggest thing there. I feel like they just want it more. These are two teams here that have really, I mean, like Celtics aside with everything they've been through, I just feel like just look at them at the improvement I would say the Celtics made. That should show you there that it wasn't just the coach, it was that he got them to buy into something and they were believing in it and knew that they were a good team and really believed that they were a good team and just wanted it more than the other teams. The Bucks wanted more. Giannis has put something in that team, like I don't know what it is, that they just want it more. They truly believe that they're a good team. I feel like it's a belief thing for the Sixers. I don't think that they think that they're as good a team as they should be. I feel like they're missing that. That's it's a mental thing. It's a mentality. It's a mentality difference because like I said, look at the Celtics, the way they play defense, that's mentality. The way the Bucks play offense and defense, that's mentality. The way that the Sixers don't do that, that's just the way they kind of drag it because they don't have the mental toughness of those two teams.
I feel like that's a good point. I definitely think that the Philadelphia 76ers are a team that has talent, but I would agree that they don't really understand how to build a perfectly winning team. I feel like on their bench, they don't have a really good deep bench. They don't have forwards to throw at people other than PJ Tucker. They just kind of prioritize shooting. And we've had this guy for a while, like George Niang. George Niang shouldn't be a rotational guy in the playoffs. Like George Niang's not that kind of guy. And I feel like they aren't serious enough with their bench to really complete this team. And I do think to a certain extent, now I don't know if Joel Embiid's still this way, but I do remember reading Nick Nurse's book, who's the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. And they faced Joel Embiid in the playoffs that year with the Kawhi Leonard shot that bounced off the front of the rim. And he basically said in that book that they would always try to stop him in the first quarter because once he lost his confidence, he wouldn't play the same throughout the rest of the game. And his stats were like ridiculously down for the rest of the series after they made that adjustment. And I don't know if he's still like that, but if he is, right, that's a mental aspect that you might be talking about where they don't seem to have that mental edge where they feel like they really understand how to be winners completely. I feel like maybe it's a mix of Doc, James, and Joel Embiid not really knowing how to do it. I feel like Doc is kind of a little bit of a fraud of an NBA championship level coach. I feel like you agree with me on that. KG, Rondo, Allen, Paul Pierce, of course he was going to win one, right? And he wasn't really a highly touted coach before that and didn't really show a lot of juice before that. I feel like if a Pop was here, I feel like he would definitely elevate this team mentally. You know what I mean? Like I agree with you that, there is something missing there mentally with the 76ers and with the GM and just like building out a bench that's ready to win playoff games. Like it's pretty straightforward. Right, like you need wings off the bench, you need guards that can defend, right? And they kind of only got one guy that's like that, and everybody else is just kind of like okay, right? They're they're not taking it seriously enough building a bench that's ready to be a championship level bench. And yeah, the 76ers and Tobias too. Tobias is he seems like a negative guy in the locker room. I feel like he has some resentment for not being the guy anymore. Like getting not as many touches just by like the way he plays. And I
Yeah,
also don't think he's worth what he's getting paid on the floor either. Right?
not at all.
So I agree. I think it's not a perfectly built team. They're not ready to win on a championship level right now. They won't get bumped in the first round or something like that. But I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head here a little bit with Philly.
Yeah, I just feel that they're like I said, they're missing something. It's
Yeah.
if once they figure that out, and
Oh, I
what's
know
going
what
on?
it is. Identity.
What's up? Yes,
They don't have an
perfect word.
identity.
Perfect word.
Milwaukee Bucks. Oh, our identity is spacing, defense, and Giannis. Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's our identity. Boston Celtics, defense. Golden State Warriors, world class passing. Phoenix Suns, perimeter shot creation. Right? Like all these NBA championship level teams have an identity, right? Even the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic pick and roll. Then we
Pick
got
and roll.
guard. They've always had guards. Reggie Jackson, Will Barton,
Yeah.
and Sean Bones Highland. That would be backups to that. You know what I mean? And I feel like the 76ers have Joel Embiid, but it's not like they use Joel Embiid in such a unique way, and the whole offense is built around him perfectly. It's kind of like we put two talents on the same team with James Harden and Joel Embiid. We haven't been able to find an identity to fit our label of a team to build around that. I feel like that's what it is.
That and is the only and the here's the thing though, right? So Joel Embiid, I don't care what anybody says, has always been the guy on the Sixers. Right?
Yes.
I feel like he's legitimately been the guy, right?
Yeah.
But they have yet to really truly run the offense through Joel Embiid. And then not having that already worked through the game plan, which I don't see how as a coach you don't already see that that's the best thing. He was an MVP. He was an MVP finalist last year. That should have told you right there that, oh, this guy needs to touch the ball 80 million times every game.
Yeah.
It was a wait, it was a skit I seen somewhere, right? Where I think Carmelo, it was a coach.
Yeah.
It was on YouTube. It was like It's Real 85 or whatever, right? And it was a coach, and he was in practice with Carmelo. He was like, "Don't you even touch the ball. Just pass the ball to Carmelo. Do I see you taking a shot? No, take no shots. Just pass the ball to Carmelo." That's what it should be with Joel Embiid. Don't even take no shots. Nobody else touch the ball. As soon as you get the ball, hot potato, it's Joel Embiid. That's how it should be. But then you, not even having that already established, you add James Harden to the mix, who's known to be a number one, known to be ball dominant.
Yeah.
And then you lose kind of what you were kind of building because now you have to try to figure, okay, I have to make him happy and I have to make him happy. But he's used to being number one, so he wants to drop he wants to score at a high level because that's what he normally does. But then we have Joel Embiid. So who do we believe in more? I feel like it could be more an ego thing. I feel like James Harden may not want to take a back seat to Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid does not need to take a backseat to James Harden.
I think James Harden's willing to take the backseat now. I think he knows that he's not this. Yeah, I feel like that's not an issue anymore because how much he passes the basketball and like how much he doesn't force his shots. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's not the James Harden's issue. I feel like it's the unable to build a system around Embiid. That's like okay, we build around Embiid now. Embiid's our identity. Just because you have a great player doesn't mean you've built around him correctly to build an identity. An example of this is the triangle. The triangle offense is known for being built around MJ and Shaq and Kobe. Okay, what's the triangle offense? All that movement and all that passing around the magnetic force of a center who's drawing in all this attention creates so many easy shots. Okay, our identity is Shaq in the Lakers. Because of the triangle offense, because they were able to play off Shaq well. 76ers don't play off of Embiid well. All they do is stand in corners. Like that's not playing off of somebody. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of where we're both going with this. Was they haven't built around Embiid to make a identity that they can have going into the playoffs. They just have talent.
Right. And just one more thing, just to piggyback off of you with the standing in corners. They have They tried to create a Giannis offense without having the level of passing that they would need in order to create that type of offense. Because
Yes.
Giannis passes a lot from the center, from like down low, from
paint.
that kind of position, from the paint. So it's like if you're going to have everybody in corners, there's magnetism, but I'm not expecting Joel Embiid to throw a cross court pass. I don't see that in his arsenal.
Yeah.
So I feel like they need to build more like as if they had Shaq.
Yeah.
That would be the best type of build.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we both hit the nail on the head here. I think they need to move coaches and try to get somebody a little. Honestly, like there's a gazillion coaches that used to coach in the 90s, 80s, 70s to be like, okay, I'm going to build around a center. Okay, cool. Easy, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys sitting on the couches right now that could do a good job with this. Could you imagine Phil Jackson just like, all right, I'm done chilling in the fucking mountains in North Dakota. I'm going to become coach of the Olympics. What?
I'm going to teach the triangle to the Sixers.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. All right, you ready to kick it to the next topic?
I think a good segue, right? And I'm not sure what you might have next.
No, go for it.
There's some like mumbles that James Harden might want to go back to the Rockets.
Oh, my God. I know.
What are your thoughts on this?
That's fucking stupid if the Houston pulls that off. Okay, this is the reason why it's stupid. Look, how do I put this? Memphis Grizzlies are an example of what I'm going to make here. Okay. Building a young team, you want to get one good player at each position. They'll grow together like Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr. They don't really have a center yet, but it's Steven Adams, but not a young center. Yeah. And I think Jaren Jackson long term could be the center, but that's neither here or there. The point of that is they need minutes. They got a lot of minutes where they used to suck, right? And they grew together to become the playoff team that we have now, right? Growing team chemistry and growing in talent. Okay, to be able to grow young talent, they need minutes. James Harden is going to get minutes. And you know who the best player on the team is? Is Jalen fucking Green. You know what he plays? Shooting guard, okay? You do not need James fucking Harden in there, okay? You needed to develop these guys. It's pretty straightforward. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get somebody that's, a good passer in the upcoming draft because there's a lot of good passers. I've already started scouting some guys, but, it's Houston. Houston better not fucking do this. This is better be just leverage for James Harden to get a good contract. This 76ers or some bullshit like that.
Who knows?
God.
But one thing that I was, I talk basketball with my older brother all the time. He's a big basketball head, right? So he made a good point, right? And I was agreeing with him. He said that the league has become selfish in a way. And I could see how he would say that, right? And I'm going to use that term in terms of James Harden if he was to go back to the Rockets. How that would be selfish is exactly how you put it. He would take minutes away from a growing young team. They would have, in order to move James Harden back to the Rockets, they would end up breaking up their nucleus of a young team, their young core, in order to do that. So now you have these young guys who are getting used to playing together, and then you're gonna go scatter them like the Dragon Balls all across the NBA to bring James Harden back, and then not win.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. That's very selfish, right? Because it could be money driven. Because they're going to throw all the money in the world at James Harden. Who wouldn't? They're going to throw all the money in the world at James Harden, and then they're going to break up this young team, scatter them like the Dragon Balls, and then you have nothing left. You have nothing to show for it. Because not like it's going to bring a championship to you just by signing James Harden. Because you're going to be back in the same position before CP3 with James Harden and role players. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. So your brother doesn't know how correct he is. So I again to quote Nick Nurse's book. So basically, he talked about in his book about how he would talk with players, especially he talked about in the G League and when he was with Toronto. He'd sit people down and talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is what their goals are. And he would say, okay, you want to do that? Okay, I'll help you achieve your goals. Just help me win as a team. kind of meet them halfway with like
Mhm.
everybody. So like imagine Pascal. Pascal's like, I want to average 26. Okay, I want to help you average 26 in a way that helps us win, right? Like
Yeah.
NBA coaches, I'm sure every NBA coach has to deal with this. This seems like a quasi revolution in NBA coaching that most people aren't talking about. Is modern guys are like, okay, these guys selfish. They care about their careers. They're accepting that. It's not like it used to be in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Rah team over I thought process with everything in sports, but that just
Yeah.
wasn't normal human nature. Everybody's selfish. Everybody wants something for themselves. I will do this if I get X out of it, right? That's just normal human nature, and I think your brother doesn't know how correct he is. NBA head coaches are balancing that, and good NBA head coaches that can navigate that type of thing become great. And that's actually funny that you brought that up because that's a
Yeah.
unique thing. So I was like, really? They do that? But yeah.
They're selfish.
Yeah. It turns out all human beings are selfish a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
True.
the way we are. Already? You want to kick it to the next topic?
Let's run it.
I have a controversial statement.
Ooh.
Los Angeles Clippers are way better than everybody thinks, and
That is
Russell
controversial.
Westbrook is a good fit on the Clippers. They look so bad. They've lost so many games in a row. Skip Bayless keeps on clipping them. Oh my gosh. Draymond Green played off of him in the Warriors. Okay, sure. Does gimmicky defenses work in short terms? Yes. Okay, for a few minutes in the game, was it fun to watch? Yes. But what you're not seeing is what we've been talking about for years here. What's the weaknesses of the Clippers? They don't have a point guard. They don't have a playmaker that could take the ball out of Paul George's and Kawhi Leonard's hands and make life easy for them because they're scorers, not playmakers for others. Okay, and it took me about 50 seconds into the game of watching them play for me to be like, holy shit, does this fit well? Okay, it doesn't go on the highlight tapes. It doesn't go on your Skip Bayless blogs. I don't care what the fuck he's doing, okay? When I'm watching Kawhi Leonard get open threes because Russell Westbrook is reading the defense that he never got before, when I'm seeing Paul George getting open shots and other players and Ivica Zubac getting lobs and things of that nature that never happened before. I mean, he probably adds 18 to 20 open shots that they never used to have because Reggie Jackson couldn't fucking pass. Okay, and they didn't realize that John Wall needed to be their starter. And when they had Rajon Rondo, Tyronn Lue didn't realize that he needed. They traded Lou Williams for Rajon Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks and didn't play him a single minute in the playoffs. Okay, like this is how crazy. Like I thought Tyronn Lue was just gonna fuck it up again, but Russell Westbrook's starting. Okay. Get rid of the highlight plays of, the low lights. Okay, he's going to have some low lights, but his positive impact on the team has been their weakness for so long. This team can win the West. I'm going to say it. They have the deepest roster in the NBA. They got Kawhi, who looks like the same old Kawhi offensively. I think even like pre-All-Star break, he was averaging like 28 again for the last 10 games heading into the All-Star break. Paul George looks the same defensively too. Kawhi doesn't look like the DPOY guy anymore, but he looks like a borderline all-defense, just like a really great defender. And you put all these things together and you get a team that's going to be hella tough in the playoffs. They have games to make this work, and they have time to make this work. And I really feel like this is going to work. I feel like Russell Westbrook gets hated on so much, but at this point in time, maybe not 10 years earlier, he used to be really efficient, make a lot of turnovers, but he's a high basketball IQ player now. If you don't realize that, you're just stuck on the narratives of what it used to be, right? Yeah. And he's such a good passer, and he's such a high basketball IQ guy, and he's so good at getting to the rim, and it's just exactly what they need, and it's too good of a fit for even Tyronn Lue to fuck it up. Okay, so I'm huge on the Clippers. I think they're going to be tough matchup, and even I'm not going to take the bait on them losing a few games. NBA teams lose games. It happens. So. All right, that's my take.
They do lose games. You're absolutely right. And I feel that there is a negative narrative, like a negative cloud surrounding Russ. Because every time he does something, it immediately hits Twitter, Instagram just begins trending, right?
Yes.
Like he had a late game turnover that may or may not have cost the Clippers the game, and immediately went viral. Um, Russ, I go on Twitter every now and then and see, oh, he's lost 25 of the games that he started in. He's on a 25 game losing streak. I'm like, why does that matter? He's on two different teams now. You know, the Lakers may not have been the best fit at the time. You know what I mean? The Clippers look a lot better as a fit. I will agree with you on that. But it's kind of like, I guess as a fan of the game, you know what I mean? And knowing what Russell Westbrook brings to a team, it is a little bit hard to really see the vision, especially when the negatives are thrown in your face so much.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see it because, like, I think we had talked about this before. I was like, I don't know about the Clippers. I don't feel like they're going to be a good team. I mean, I don't know. Like, I understand because we talk about this all the time. I was like, they need somebody who can play chess, not checkers. They need somebody who can play make, who can really distribute the ball and make everybody around them better and get them to open shots. We completely understood that. That's why we're both on the same page with that part. But it's still at the same token, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like he's a detriment to the team. And that's just media just flooding into my head and like the brainwashing that media does with fans.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be exciting because Denver, the Warriors, I really can't, because Steph just came back this week. Steph, being able to see how well they're going to play, because I did catch a little bit of a Warriors game, and I could definitely tell that they were playing with a lot more intensity than usual, trying to stay out of that play-in game. So it's going to be interesting to see how good they look, because I also listened to Andre Iguodala's book, and he was like, "Oh, okay, we're chilling until All-Star break when he's with the Warriors, and then after All-Star break, okay, we're turning the switch. We're actually going to try now." So I feel like this version of Steph with the Warriors from here on out is what they're actually going to be, and I'm kind of curious to see it because they've been so up and down this year. They're still the defending champions, and they still have potential to reach what they can be. So it's gonna be interesting. So many interesting things, narratives going on around the NBA right now, especially LeBron James being hurt. So what do you think? Do you think the Lakers can stave it off and get into the play-in game without the GOAT? Bah.
Yeah, it's like weird for me because. At first, I remember I believe that we were talking. He was like, they look like a way better team. These are the right pickups and stuff like that. And I watched the game, right? I watched the game, and it was I think it was the last game that I think LeBron played. The last game that I think LeBron played, and I was like, okay, it looked really good. It looked really good. They were able to win that game, and I was like, okay. And then he ends up like, oh, yep, I'm hurt. I'm down for a couple weeks. And I'm like, now I kind of lost faith. And I'm gonna tell you the real reason why I lost faith. It's not the pickups, because I believe in I believe in the pickups now. I believe in D'Lo. I believe in the defensive capabilities of Vando and what he brings to the table, Austin Reeves and the other G Leaguers. But what I don't believe in is I don't believe in Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it's so hard to trust him.
I can't trust him. I can't trust him. I want to. I want to be like, with LeBron being out, he could get us to a couple games. Yeah. He can get us a couple games on our belt till LeBron can come back, and then maybe win the play-in game with LeBron once he's back, and then get a go at least second round in the playoffs, possibly, right? But I don't even see AD's been playing better, but I still just don't see him. I don't believe in him. I don't think that he could do it. I feel like they're going to lose more than they win and end up outside the playoffs yet again.
Yeah. Yeah, I used when we first talked about this, I disagreed with you. I was like, yeah, the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. But I'm starting to see your point a little bit here from a little bit different perspective. Is every team is playing with so much more of a higher intensity that it's going to be harder than it would have been pre-All-Star break to make up these games. Yeah. And, I don't feel like it's a guarantee that the Lakers snake in. And there's a lot of good teams that are fight. Like the West is really deep, 1 through 10. And 1 through 12, basically. Everybody's within a short time frame of, wins and losses. And, I don't feel like it's guaranteed either. Sadly, I don't think it's guaranteed that they'll make it in the play-in. It's going to be an interesting fight all the way into it, but it's going to be fun.
With LeBron, yes. Without LeBron, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Up and Down team, I feel like been no more up and down team lately is the Dallas Mavericks. What do you think the Dallas Mavericks are, Chris? One game they
Oh my
suck,
gosh.
one game they put up 82. Who know? What are they, Chris? What are the Mavericks?
I don't know. I feel like they're figuring it out. Okay, so
Okay.
unpopular, maybe popular opinion. I believe that they have one of the best backcourts in the West.
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in the Kyrie Luka combination because I feel like it works. I
Me
feel
too.
like he's used to it because of LeBron. The fact
Yeah.
that you have this guy who can handle the ball really well, pass, and make everybody better, and all you have to do is score, that makes things a lot easier.
True.
Right? But my problem with the Mavericks is the lack of identity. That they still don't know exactly who they are. And it's shown in the late game situation. They crack, collapse, crumble, implode under pressure. As soon as the couple seconds come into play, it's like Kyrie and Luka look at each other like, I don't know what to do. What should I do? They kind of just like, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I've seen this play out a couple times. Today, I did see the end of the Phoenix Suns game, and I was listening to it as well. And I did see that they did make a better opportunity, with the shot selection, although they did lose. But I'm just saying, like, it's still kind of... I was talking to my oldest brother about this, because like I said, we talk basketball all the time. I was watching the game with him while I was getting those games. And I was saying to him, I was like, the problem here is that if it goes in the clutch time situation, it favors the Suns. Why does it favor the Suns? Because I believe in Book's ability to make the clutch shot. I believe in KD's ability to make the clutch shot. Not saying that I don't believe in Luka or Kyrie, but I feel that they just kind of don't have that type of identity right now. Because Luka's been leading a team by himself for so long that it's kind of like you're injecting immediately, and at the very last minute, like, hey, Luka, guess what? You have somebody else who can go along with you now. You don't have to do it all by yourself. And Luka's like, well, wait a second. I'm used to playing with scrubs. Right. I don't know how to deal with this just yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, Booker has never had anything on the level of KD, but CP3 was a good kind of stepping stone into that direction. So I feel that having CP3 makes the Suns a little bit more acclimated to dealing with those big crunch time situations, because he's like, wait, I know how to defer. I don't believe Luka knows how to defer just yet, and Kyrie's like, it's your team. You take the shot.
Yeah.
I feel like they're still trying to figure this out.
Yeah. They're both being so passive about it.
Yeah, very passive, and they're still trying to figure it out. Once they get it figured out, then I will be higher on the Mavs, but I believe I'm high on the potential, but I know they're just not there yet.
Yeah, I'm high on the potential too. Offensively, they can hit a peak that I don't really think any other team can hit. It's just defensively, they suck. I mean, the worst defensive team in the playoffs might be them. I mean, it's going to be, they're terrible defensively. So it's going to depend on the matchup and who they get, but I think they'll figure it out. But right now, it's kind of funny seeing two of the greatest end of game closers we've seen the past 10 years be so passive with each other. So, they want to win. That's a good thing to no take about that. They care about each other, and it's being a little too passive. They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
All right. You ready to move to one team that's not being very passive? They're being very aggressive, especially Jalen Brunson, who's on a roll lately, averaging 20 to 28 a game, something ridiculous like that. The New York Knicks went on a 7-game win streak. And, I'm curious, Chris, how real do you think the Knicks are? What do you think about the Knicks right now? And, let's hear it.
I feel like the Knicks right now are playing with an edge. I feel like this is a Knicks team that looks really, really good. A lot of people will say, and I'm not, it's maybe an popular opinion, but I see a lot of people say that Jalen Brunson isn't really like that. It's kind of a fluff stat type of thing. Like, he's kind of just filling it up, and it's not really mattering. But I want to disagree with that. I definitely want to disagree with that, because I feel like he's actually a really efficient basketball player.
Yes.
Right. I feel like it's not just, okay, I'm going out here and I'm just throwing up and we're hoping for the best at this point. I feel like he's making the right moves, the right plays, taking the right shots, and keeping everything really going for his team. And I think that the Josh Hart trade is highly underrated.
Yes.
Highly underrated trade. it made the team so much better
Mhm.
defensively.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I really do
And
agree. Go ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh yeah, I was saying it makes the team so much better defensively, and I think that kind of he fits perfectly into the kind of mindset and the kind of team that their identity
Mhm.
that they're creating there. Even though I
Yeah.
kind of already seen them as kind of like a rough and rugged,
Mhm.
defensive hard nosed kind of team, but I think he fits perfectly into that
Yeah.
and makes the team so much better.
Yeah. I feel like I agree with you that Jalen Brunson is not fluff stats. He plays such an efficient style of basketball. And I feel like the sad thing about this is I don't think they could beat any of the top 4 teams in the East. But I feel like one thing that makes me sad about New York Knicks fans is they just can't sit down and just appreciate a good basketball team. I feel like these Knicks fans are still being so negative to their team, still finding unique and creative ways to diss them. I mean, the amount of times I see on TikTok and YouTube of New York Knicks fans be like, Julius Randle plays such an inefficient style of basketball. Okay, you are mixing up inefficient with tough shot creator and tough shot taker, which is what Julius Randle is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that has extreme value when he's an all-star level power forward like that, right? And you're mixing those two things up. You just need to sit down and appreciate it. Just like RJ Barrett. Everybody wants to come in RJ Barrett's head. Oh, he's so inefficient. He's a bum. He is not what we wanted him to be. It was Zion. It was Jaw. And it was supposed to be RJ Barrett. He was supposed to be just like those are the three. Okay, well, you had this projection in your mind of the falsehood of what he could be. Okay, and you just can't accept the 18-4-4 that he is right now. Okay, just because the field goal percentage is lower on a guy like this, that means you don't really understand how basketball's done, because he's a tough shot taker, tough shot creator himself, right? Those guys are higher volume guys. They take tougher shots. They have lower field goal percentages. It's just like a standstill shooter from the 3-point line is going to have a better 3-point percentage than a 3-point shot creator for himself, just because he's taking easier shots, right? He's going to have a higher field goal percentage. Those field goal percentage and 3-point percentages can lie to you on the value of a player. And it just makes me sad that they just can't sit down and appreciate the fact that they have a winning team. They have the best team since the Melo, J.R. Smith teams. You know what I mean? That one year where they were good. And before that, since the 90s. Like, you guys have sucked for so long. Go through 10 to 5 years periods without making the playoffs. Just sit back and enjoy having a good basketball team in the Mecca. Why can't you guys just do that for once? Stop being so overly negative and just enjoy good basketball. Are they going to win an NBA championship? No. Should you enjoy them as a basketball team and support them as a basketball fans? Yes. It's not overly complicated. So, that's my take on the Knicks. So what do you think about the Knicks?
Yeah, I believe that the fan base is kind of toxic. I feel like they just need to enjoy the good that they're displaying right now.
Yeah,
they're playing really good basketball right now. They look like a better team than they have in years.
Yes,
and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. You're not going to get a playoff championship caliber team every year, especially when how jumbled up the NBA is constantly with all the trades, free agents, and things like that. You're not going to always get a caliber team. I mean, a team that's the caliber of a Giannis Bucks or a Tatum Celtics or something like that. Like, you're not going to always get that caliber of team, but you just need to be grateful. Well, I guess it's kind of the bad word because like just shut up and take your medicine. But I think you should be appreciative. I think is the better one. Of the team that you have in your city right now in the Mecca of basketball. But I believe that because it's the Mecca of basketball, that you put a lot more emphasis on the fact that, hey, we need a ring here. We haven't had a ring here. And you're like, every team we have here should be great. And they just have a toxic fan base.
True. And from one negative fan base to a guy who's getting treated negatively right now, John Morant recently came out and
Mm.
he's getting suspended for basically 2 games. I think he was showing his gun on Instagram or something, or waving it around, and he
Yeah,
basically
he
caught.
showed it.
Yeah, so he got suspended, and it's a really interesting topic. So I want to see what you think about it, Chris.
Um, I feel like with the John Morant thing, he's been having a lot of negative publicity, right?
Yes.
Lately, a lot. With the beating up the guy. Was he
Mhm.
17 and then showing a gun and he was supposedly defending himself and he's not going to be charged for that. And to right after that to showing a gun on Instagram Live, and then also to the story that the people that he was with or whatever flashed like the lasers from a gun at the Indiana Pacers when they were playing them that time, like before the All-Star break, I believe it was. So
Mhm.
it's like it's just a lot of negative publicity. And I feel like with the most recent one, it's kind of hard to say because I don't want to be so negative, right? Because
Yeah.
I enjoy the game that he had. I enjoy the way he plays basketball. I understand that, but he has to understand that there are levels to life, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So what may be accepted on certain levels, you know what I mean? Once you get to the level that you are now, you're worth $250 million. You have to
Mhm.
carry yourself in a certain way, or you will lose what you have got, what you have
True.
earned, because everything is earned. Especially when you play basketball, when you start from wherever you start from, however low, however middle, however high you start from, everything is earned from there on. So, he went to college, he got drafted, you know what I mean, and now he's like the face of a franchise. That's earned. You don't want to throw stuff like that away over wanting to prove, and this is how I see it, without a doubt, wanting to prove that you're still relatable.
Mhm.
If I get to that level, I don't want to be relatable anymore.
Mhm.
I want to be, I want to be a guiding light, kind of in a lead, because once you get to a certain level, you become a leader,
Mhm.
right? You know what I mean? To those people who watched you grow up, to the people who watch you now, you become a leader. So I don't want to be relatable. Leaders are relatable, but I don't want to be relatable on that level. I want to be relatable, like, okay, I've done it, so you can do it too, and I'm willing to throw the foolishness away because I know what my value is as a person in the community,
Yeah.
as a player, as a basketball, as a son, as a friend, as a father. I know my value, so I'm willing to throw away. I don't. If you can't relate to me anymore because I'm on this level, then we shouldn't be friends anymore. If you can't relate to me anymore, then you shouldn't look up to me anymore
Mhm.
because I don't want to relate to you anymore. I want to show you that there is better,
Mhm.
and I think that that's where he should be going. I feel that even though he's in the NBA, you know what I mean, and you don't expect, philanthropy from every NBA player. Everybody's not going to be LeBron, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to be, Wade. Everybody's not going to be these caliber of players who just like really put Kyrie, who puts their all into the community. You know what I mean? Where they go, you know what I mean? Everybody's not going to be that caliber player, but I would expect some form of maturity from a player that's making $250 million.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree that he has got to learn from this, and I feel like he will. Since it's so public, basically the NBA just stopped. It was like talking about John Morant for a whole day. He's not going to be able to hide from what he did. Assuming that he grows from this, I would say that the greatest story that America as a community consumes is the comeback story, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like John Morant has a lot of potential to grow into a person that could be like, I once did X, but I have grown past that and defeated the demons of the temptation of acting that way and displaying myself
Yeah.
in that way. And I feel like he has the potential to really be a great learning. Oh, I get to learn from John Morant how he grew from that really tough situation. And I feel like that is something that, he has the potential to do. I mean, I even heard Jalen Rose talk about like he went through like a similar thing where he was not as, have his whole life together perfectly, and like now it sounds like he does a lot of philanthropy, and like he could be like that, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody that can be a guiding light and somebody that can be a great example of overcoming things. And I feel like, John Morant has an opportunity to be a great image of overcoming. So I feel like there's really room for growth there. Yeah.
Exactly. But it would take him, you know what I mean, not wanting to be relatable anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just stuck on that right now. That's how I see it. I feel like you just want to be too relatable. But like I was saying, when you get to a certain level, you shouldn't want to be relatable. You shouldn't want to be seen in that light anymore.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. You ready to run through one quick topic? Quinn Snyder becoming the Atlanta Hawks head coach. Chris, your reaction? 5 years. Damn, he's getting paid.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say about this is I told you so. Not you particular, Jason, but you listeners. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. And I told you so. And the reason why I'm going to say this is not because I knew that Quinn Snyder was going to get hired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I knew Nate McMillan was going to get fired. That I saw that coming from a mile away. As soon as there was immediate trouble in paradise with him and Trae Young, I knew that he was on his way out the door, and it was a matter of time.
True. Yeah.
Being because of these large entities, these teams, the owners, they never look at the star. They immediately blame the coach.
Sure.
Immediately blame the coach. Coach is out of there. Coaches are like, it's always a revolving door for a coach because you never know. Because you say the wrong thing to one star and you're out of there.
Sure.
You're out of there because you know what happens when you start getting into it with the stars, and stars have how do I say? I'm not gonna say low self-esteem, but egos.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the locker room.
Sure.
Those type of players, they don't want to listen to you anymore. The team doesn't look like the team of old anymore, and that's kind of what's happened to the Atlanta Hawks. They stopped looking like they stopped looking like a winning team. Mm-hmm. They stopped looking like they were when they went to the playoffs and beat the Sixers and almost beat the Bucks. They stopped looking like that caliber of team. Once he lost the locker room, it was only a matter of time because once he got in it with Trae, that's when he lost the locker room. Now you look at the team now and you're like, the team looks a lot better now that he's gone. Was he truly the problem? I would not say that Nate McMillan was the problem. I feel that the problem was that the situation between Trae and him, whatever that may have been, was just handled by, internally, between Trae and Nate McMillan very poorly. And once that happened, then he lost the team.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different take on the Quinn Snyder hiring and why Nate McMillan got fired. In one of the books, Larry Bird said that after 3 years, a head coach loses the locker room. He was coaching the Indiana Pacers, and they went to the NBA championship on his third year of coaching there, and he quit the job. That's how much he believed in that. And I feel like Nate McMillan is just an example of that. I don't think Nate McMillan's a bad coach. We have both loved Nate McMillan here. We both thought he did a great job in Indiana. We both thought he did a really good job with Atlanta when he was coaching when they beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And he went from assistant to head coach. And I just feel like he just lost the locker room. I feel like it's been pretty evident when you watch Atlanta Hawks games that they're pretty lazy defensively and they just look out of sync. And, it just seems like on the floor they just don't feel like they just something is off. And I just feel like with the Trae Young thing, with probably other things that happened behind closed doors, it seems like he didn't just lose Trae Young. It seems like he lost 1 through 12. And, that's just, it happens sometimes. You keep on hearing the same voice over and over again in the locker room, and sometimes it just decreases in its value and decreases in its effectiveness. And, Quinn Snyder is a world-class head coach. That's a great fit for them. I really feel like he's going to get that offense running right. His offensive formula really works for a guy like Trae Young and the surrounding pieces. And I can already tell that they're playing with a lot more defensive intensity. Like they try a lot more in defense than what they used to do. So that's a good first step. So I'm really excited about this Atlanta Hawks team, and I'm really excited about the NBA, man. So we should do you think this is a good time to kick it? To kill it?
Yeah, this is a good time. This is a good time. So
alright.
This is the end, guys. We just want to say thank you so much for listening and for supporting, for commenting, for viewing us on TikTok, YouTube, listening and just keep supporting. This is our community. You help build this community. This is a community for casuals and non-casuals alike.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Everybody's welcome here. We're just here to talk basketball because we enjoy it. We love the game. You know what I mean? And hopefully you enjoy our takes, and we would love to hear you guys' takes. If you don't agree with this, put it in the comments. If you agree with this, put it in the comments. I mean, we do answer back. I know that we're legit on TikTok, so like every time you post something, I'm pretty sure I see it, Jason sees it.
True.
I see it at some point, when I get the time to.
Yeah.
But it's always being seen. It's not being ignored.
Yeah.
So So once again, I'm Chris Muhammad.
I'm Jason Collins.
And we are the Basketball Addicts. Peace.
Ouch.